Hello. As the article in the main Republic email report dated November 26, 2019 will tell you, I am Alfred Lambremont Webre, a futurist born on May 24th, 1942 at the U.S. Naval Air Station Hospital, Pensacola, Florida, USA. I am campaigning for the office of U.S. President in the November 3rd, 2020 election. My 2020 campaign seeks, and this is why I got into it, to block Donald John Trump from our White House and the US presidency, as I have concluded that Trump is the 666 Antichrist or and 666 Antichrist predicted by chapter 13 of the book of Revelation, and if elected, will cause catastrophic harm to America and to our Earth. Now, how did I come to all of those conclusions? Well, there was a quote by the Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, Jorge Bergoglio, the Argentine, who said, and this caught my attention, we are approaching the time of the conflict between the false prophet and the Antichrist. So I went, wow, this is really something, because I've been a long time student of hermeneutics. I'm the founder of Exopolitics, and you can go to my website, exopolitics.com, and you'll see all of that. And Pope Francis himself has been widely uh, studied or identified by hermeneuticists as, quote, the false prophet, and the Roman Catholic Church as sort of the home of the false prophet or the whore of Babylon. Uh, you know, no disparagement intended, but this is the study of biblical prophecy, which goes back. Uh, Sir Isaac Newton thought it one of his senior accomplishments. Nostradamus, it's trying to take these time screeds, which were embedded into, we can call them remote viewing into the future by people like John of Patmos in the book of Revelation, etc. And Jorge Bergoglio, uh, as Pope Francis, with a Hermetic consciousness as, quote, the false prophet, as defined in Revelation, book of Revelation, chapter 19, first reached out to expose Donald John Trump, whose gematria, we'll learn a lot about that in the course of this video, is 666, these vaunted numbers, as the Antichrist, or one of many Antichrists, uh, of chapter 13 of Revelation. He first did this on February 16th during the 2016 campaign, February 16th, 2016, saying on global television, quote, Donald Trump is not Christian, end of quote, in a television interview that was broadcast from his jetliner going back from a visit in Mexico, uh, for in which he spoke out against Donald Trump for building walls and not bridges between people. Now, to quote the relevant verses from chapter 13 in the book of Revelation, these are verses 16 to 18 of chapter 13 of the book of Revelation, one of the books of the New Testament. Quote, it also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. End of quote. And that has been very vaunted throughout history. Napoleon was to have been the first Antichrist, followed by Hitler, 666. And now it's come down to Donald John Trump, which we'll see in the course of this video. His family is just filled with 666 implants that relate to personal data, that relate to the ability to buy and sell. Also, in throughout all of China, you buy and sell through your phone now, is interpreted as the 666, chapter 13. So it's all coming about during this time, and this is a remote viewing that was given to John of Patmos when he wrote this vision in the book of Revelation. And so my task in my declaration in my 2020 campaign, Alfred 2020, is number one, to block Donald John Trump from re-election into the White House, to expose him as, in fact, the 666 beast, the Antichrist of the book of Revelation, because by the American people re-electing him, whether wittingly or unwittingly, that will cause catastrophic harm to America and to the earth. It may be the end of constitutional America under the Constitution of 1789 as amended. It may be the end of America if they re-elect him. And so I urge everyone who is an American citizen who will be voting in the 2020 election on November 3rd, 2020, to vote for anyone other than Donald Trump. Because if you vote for Donald Trump, you're voting for the end of America. That's a fact, as set out in Scripture. And number two, if you wish to vote for me, you can see in the links to the main Republic email report link, which is in the video description of this video, and also in the article accompanying it, that I will implement a living platform for a renewed America and a new earth. But the subject of this video is how Donald John Trump as 666 Antichrist is hidden in plain sight. And we will start with that, how it's endemic through his entire life. So I'll be drawing on some of the wide literature that is out there. You know, we go to chapter 13. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. So more than anyone on earth, let's look at all the 666s that are in the family and in the persona of Donald J. Trump. And there are many people out there in the world that studies this, that have documented this. And this is from some of that, all of this is documented in the video description of this video and in the article that accompanying it. Here are some of the top 10. Number 1, the Trumps own the most expensive building ever bought in the US at 666 Fifth Avenue, comma, a street symbolic of money, money being sort of a manifestation of the god Mammon, a diabolical entity in the dimensional ecology of the omniverse. Number 2, the Trumps paid $1.8 billion for the 666 tower, and 18 equals 3 times 6 equals 666. The 666 tower is controlled by Ivanka Trump and her husband, Jared Kushner Trump. Kush was the patriarch of Babylon, and Babylon was sort of a diabolically controlled place historically, where both the Zionist Jewish empire got started and where the Jesuits were started, both of whom are reputed to be the founders of what we call Mystery Babylon. 3, the Trumps are also in the process of building a $666 million tower at One Journal Square. According to multiple reports, the height of this tower will be, you got it, 666 feet. Number 4, the famous Trump Tower is 203 meters tall, according to multiple reports, and 203 meters equals 666 feet. The Trump penthouse is on the 66th floor. Number 5, Donald Trump inherited his grandmother's real estate empire when she died on June 6, 1966. That's 666. Her name was Elizabeth Christ Trump. Christ means vow, so her full name means vow for Christ to be trumped. In other words, to be defeated. Number 6, in Trump's first fiscal year, which began in 2016, 666 plus 666 plus 666 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6, the budget deficit rose to $666 billion per Fox Business and other sources. Number 7, Donald Trump's name equates to 666 in Jewish gematria, English gematria, and ASCII, ASCII computer code. The details are below. Number 8, Trump's fear-mongering comments about rapists and drug dealers vaulted him to the top of the polls on June 6, 2015. In other words, 6 plus 6 plus 1 plus 5 equals 666. Number 9, Trump announced his candidacy for president on June 16th, 2015 equals 6 plus 1 times 6 plus 1 plus 5 equals 666. On the Ides of March, Trump had 666 delegates. Number 10, Trump uttered his unholy trinity of heresies on August 21st, 2019, when he claimed to be, quote, the King of Israel, comma, the quote, second coming of God, end of quote, and the quote, chosen one. August 21st was the 223rd day of the year, and 2:3:3 equals 1:8 equals 6 plus 6 plus 6. Those are the top 666 uh, uh, pointers in this calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. The 2016 election was, quote, all Trump all the time. And 2016 equals 666 plus 666 plus 666 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. That's how you get to the number 2016. Also, on June 6, 2016 equals 666, the infamous Trump Tower meeting was arranged as documented by emails between Donald Trump Jr. and Rob Goldstone, who acted as an agent for the quote, Crown Prosecutor of Russia. That meeting threw the presidential election to Donald Trump. According to White House insiders, Trump spends hours watching, being influenced by, and tweeting in response to the Fox network. Eerily, the letters in Fox add up to 666 in different ways, and the Bible contains a 666 related verse in which Jesus called the Antichrist, who kept trying to kill him here on earth, a fox. That verse is Luke 13, chapter 13, verse 32, and 1332 equals 666 plus 666. To see all the evidence, please click here, Fox 666. Is Fox the false prophet to Donald Trump jackal uh, like beast? So that is sort of an introduction to this gematria and to this calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. Okay, so we're going to continue. According to Trump's registration card with the Selective Service System, SSS equals 666, which has been made public, he has birthmarks on both heels. Who the hell has birthmarks on their heels? Are the birthmarks in the form of 3 6s? On his registration form, Trump's weight was given as 180 and 18. 3 6s equals 666. Trump claims to be 6'3". 6'3" equals 1/8 equals 666. Trump was born on June 14th, 1946, which has a Julian date, year, date of 6165. That's YDDD. And that is 3 more 6s. 6 plus 6 plus 1.5 equals 666. Trump was born during a rare blood moon on June 14th, 1946 at 10:54 a.m. And the Bible says that the moon will turn to blood before the quote, great and terrible day of the Lord. On June 27, 2018, the Earth experienced the longest total lunar eclipse of the century, another rare blood moon that continued into the early hours of July 28th. So it was a double blood moon with Mars rivaling the moon in size and color. Uh, at the time of this double blood moon, Trump not only had the US closer to war with Iran, North Korea, and China, but he was alienated our closest allies, threatening NATO and rejecting American intelligence in favor of believing Vladimir Putin, whose code name as a KGB officer was Pale Moth. This incredibly rare event was a blue moon, a second full moon in a calendar moon, a supermoon, and a blood moon, uh, all coinciding for the first time since 1866. And 1836s, so 1866 equals 66666. The next time this incredibly rare cosmic event will occur will be the year 36,996. Flipping the nines over, that is 3:6 plus 666. In other words, 6666666. On July 27, 2018, the date of the century's longest and rarest blood moon, Trump bragged about the only God he worships, Mammon, the god money, saying, "The year before I came into office, private business investment grew at only 1.8%. Last year, it jumped to 6.3%. This year, it's growing at 9.4%, so it's a tremendous increase. Of course, 1.8 equals 6 star 3 equals 666, and 6.3 equals 6 star 3 equals 666, and 9.4 equals 9 star 4 equals 36 equals 666. On the same day, hundreds of children remain separated from their mothers thanks to Trump, while his massive military spending bill authorizes tactical nukes and a third world style military parade. According to Trump, there is never any money to help less fortunate children, but spending the better part of $1 trillion on nukes, wars, walls, and parades is not a problem. Would Jesus Christ agree? On the date of the blood moon, Trump jetted off to Bedminster for yet another taxpayer paid golf vacation. On the same day, in 1960, Richard Nixon was nominated for president on the first ballot in Chicago by the Republican Party. On the same day in 1974, the House Judiciary voted to adopt the first of 3 articles of impeachment against Nixon. On the same day in 2016, Trump appealed to Russia to interfere in an American presidential election by releasing Hillary Clinton's emails. And then on January 20th, 2019, the anniversary of Trump's inauguration as president, there was a super blood wolf moon that passed over the White House. At that time, Trump had declared himself proud to shut down the American government and to wear the mantle of the shutdown as if he were an earthly king rather than a public servant. Over 800,000 federal workers and 1 million subcontractors were forced to either work without pay or stop working entirely. The Bible tells us to beware the ruler of this world. Well, the name Donald is a modernized version of the Scottish Domhall, and both names mean world ruler or ruler over all. When Trump decided to change the name of his Trump Soho Tower, he changed its name to the Dominic, which means Lord and Master. His first wife called him the Donald, or the ruler of the world. All these names, Don, Donald, Domhall, and Dominic, have to do with domination. Think of a powerful mafia don. Our world don derives from the Italian dono, lord, and the Latin dominus, master, domination. The name Trump means to upstage, to outrank, to triumph. It also has connotations of trickery. For example, trumped up charges. Trump's middle name is John, which means God is gracious. Thus, an interpretation of uh, Trump's full name is a proud world ruler who, after God has been gracious, will attempt to upstage and outright Christ using trickery. Thus, Trump's name may be considered a prophecy, one that coincides with the many 666 connections and the ancient prophets' warnings about a little horn and, quote, the trump of doom. Even if Trump is not the Antichrist, he may be one of many Antichrists. Quote, children, it is the last hour, and as you have heard, the Antichrist is coming. So now many Antichrists have come. Therefore, we know it is the last hour. 1 John 2, colon 18. The Trump surname is an anglicized version of the German name Drumpf. In Jewish gematria and English Sumerian gematria, the value of the letters in Don Drumpf is 666, Don being both his abbreviated first name and meaning powerful ruler, end of quote. Donald John Drumpf in American ASCII code, computer code, is 666. Donald Trump called himself the Brexit candidate, and Don Brexit in American gematria is 666. Brexit Trump yields 966 in Jewish gematria, 996 in English gematria, and 166 in simple gematria. Quote, I am guiding you, end of quote, also yields 966 in Jewish gematria. Donald Trump said he should be called, quote, Mr. Brexit. And since his family is German, it would be Herr Brexit, which yields 669 in Jewish gematria. Donald John Trump's real name in German is Donald Johann Drumpf, and each name has 6 letters, 666. There are multiple reports of Trump flashing the Illuminati 666 hand sign, which equals 666. The Trump coat of arms contains 3 number 6 symbols, 666. The Trump coat of arms contains 3 snake-like numbers 6 symbols in mirror images on the left and right. The tails of the 3 lions in the center shield form a third snake-like 666. There are more snake-like 6s in the branches and leaves. The Trump coat of arms was quite obviously copied from the Davies family coat of arms. The word integras, integrity, was replaced by Trump, deceit, and the gaudy golden 6s were added. Joseph Edward Davies was the 3rd husband of Marjorie Merriweather Post, the socialite who built the Mar-a-Lago resort. The Davies family has considered suing Trump according to over the stolen coat of arms. Trump has been praised and endorsed by leading Baptist pastors like Jerry Falwell Jr., David Jeremiah, Robert Jeffress, and James F. Lindsay. The last hymn in the Baptist hymnal is hymn number 666. Trump spends hours watching and being influenced by the Fox network, and the letters in Fox add up to 666, according to 3 different methods. It should come as no surprise that the microchipping of Americans has begun during Trump's watch. This was front page news in the August 6, 2017 issue of USA Today. The microchips allow employees to be scanned and identified by computers and can be used to authorize or decline purchases or other transactions. Where were such chips originally designed and developed? As explained later on this page, the Trump family purchased the most expensive building in the history of America at 666 Fifth Avenue, a street symbolic of money, mammon. Jared Kushner and his wife Ivanka paid $1.8 billion for the building, which is 6 plus 6 plus 6 billion. The 666 tower is home to Lucent, Lucifer Technologies, and its RFID microchip, believed by many Christians to be the prophesied mark of the beast. Lucent has technologies called Inferno, Styx, and Limbo. The 666 building appears in the movies Exorcist II, The Heretic, and The Wolf of Wall Street. So these facts are common knowledge. But what about the rumors of wars and signs in the heaven? Immediately below the microchip article was another article about a Perseid meteor shower that was predicted to be the brightest in human history. Since Trump was elected, there has been one natural disaster after another, including 2,000-year hurricanes within a few days of each other. In past, such heavenly events were taken as omens. Well, it could be weather warfare. For instance, the star that led the Magi to the manger where the Christ child lay. But in Trump's case, all omens seem to be dark and are rapidly getting darker and more nightmarish. This is the weather warfare screed that the powers behind the 666 are carrying out. And please make no mistake that the American neo-Nazis who chant "Hail Trump," just like their German predecessors who once chanted "Heil Hitler," are virulently anti-Jewish and anti-Israel. The Charlottesville neo-Nazis were obsessed with Jews, according to reporters. And their anti-Semitic websites, the neo-Nazis posted calls to burn a local synagogue. They stationed men with assault weapons across the street from the synagogue as the Jews prayed inside. These neo-Nazis love Trump, they praise Trump, they worship Trump with cries of hail, which echoed the German Heil, and they want to burn synagogues to the ground. Trump did his best to defend the neo-Nazis by saying that both sides were to blame. This is the logic of the Antichrist. Should Christians support someone who supports Nazis? Trump harnessed this movement and has also injected energy into it. Why is Trump defending Nazis and acting as if people who oppose them are equally to blame? Well, Trump's father was arrested at a KKK rally, and the KKK is also virulently anti-Jewish. And Trump's former chief strategist, Steve Bannon, is an admirer of Satan and Lenin. Quote, "I'm a Leninist. Lenin wanted to destroy the state, and that's my goal too. I want to bring everything crashing down and destroy all of today's establishment. Darkness is good. Dick Cheney, Darth Vader, Satan. That's power." Steve Bannon. Here are more Donald Trump 666 connections. Remember, chapter 13, verse 18, the book of Revelation. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. And here are more Donald Trump 666 connections, including predictions of Nostradamus. Trump's first foray into politics was announced in a 1986 New York Times article dated 666, explaining that the Donald would trump Mayor Koch by building a long delay Central Park rink through, quote, sheer force of will. Trump entered the political world at the biblical age of 40. According to Trump himself, the first critical meeting with New York City officials took place on 666 in his office. The Trump Soho Hotel condominium, called the, quote, artist enclave, end of quote, by Donald Trump, was announced on The Apprentice on June 6, 2016. That's 666. The project raised cries of fraud, deception, and mismanagement. On the same date, 666, an article in Christian Science Monitor predicted that, quote, pragmatism may trump zeal as Iran's power grows, end of quote. On the same date, 666, there was a Truth Dig article titled, quote, The Eve of Destruction. The opening line was Barry McGuire's song, Eve of Destruction. The Eastern world is exploding. Trump seems intent on making it explode. In the Heidi Klum video, in which she responds to Trump's sexist remark that she is no longer a 10, Klum wears a t-shirt inscribed with the number 999 upside down, that is a 666. In the Sex and the City pilot, which aired on 6/6/1998, 1998 equals 666 plus 666 plus 666. Mr. Big is based on Donald Trump. Samantha calls Mr. Big a young Donald Trump, end of quote. The Twin Towers are prominent, and Carrie says, quote, self-protection and closing the deal are paramount, end of quote. The Bible's first 666 reference is the weight in talents of gold that King Solomon collected each year. 1 Kings 10:4, 2 Chronicles chapter 9 verse 13, Ezra chapter 2 verse 13. Trump loves gold so much that he gold plates his toilets. The number 666 is the sum of all the numbers on a roulette wheel. Trump has owned casinos, and during his presidential campaign announced his intention to build a new multi-million-dollar casino in Las Vegas. Richard Rorty's book, Achieving Our Country, predicted a Trump presidency in 1998, and 1998 equals 666 plus 666 plus 666. Now, our News Inside Out, based on U.S. chrononaut Andrew D. Bishago's statements, indicated that DARPA and the US CIA had pre-identified Donald Trump as a future US president in 1971. And we, News Inside Out, we published that article prior to the 2016 election. So that may have been a leak from the DARPA CIA time travel program. On October 28, 2016, the 538 website had Trump with a 66.6% chance of winning the election in Utah, the citadel of Mormonism. On June 9th, 2016 equals 696 equals Donald Trump sent his infamous tweet about Hillary Clinton missing 33,000 emails and promised a major Hillary speech mere hours after Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, and Paul Manafort appeared to have uh, had what was a treasonous backdoor meeting with a Russian government agent, Natalia Belesnitkaya. Reince Priebus was also photographed walking into the Trump Tower the same day, and his appearance was noted by AP reporter Jonathan Lemire in a tweet. This was also the time that Roger Stone predicted that Trump would destroy Hillary Clinton. On March 6, 2009, the sixth day of the third month, 3 star 6, 3 more sixes, the S&P bottomed out at 666. On that day, Donald Trump told CBS News that he was gobbling up properties in Washington, D.C. Little did anyone know that the property that he had in mind was the White House. At that time, Trump predicted that the national unemployment rate would rise to over 10%, which didn't happen under the Obama administration. Was Trump predicting what would happen when he became president and started stocking his cabinet with Goldman Sachs donors? Recently, an article titled "The Barron's Bomb" stated, last week, Barron's magazine suggested the bull market that began March 2009 at 666 will not end till it tops out when the NASDAQ hits 6666. Donald Trump used the name John Barron as an alias, and his youngest son's name is Barron. Okay, Nostradamus. Did Nostradamus predict Donald Trump as a modern day Antichrist when he spoke of, quote, the false trumpet concealing madness that will change money and standards? Nostradamus also predicted, quote, the trumpet shakes with great discord, an agreement broken, lifting the face to heaven. The bloody mouth will swim with blood. The face anointed with milk and honey lies on the ground. Israel is the land of milk and honey. The Bible predicts the Antichrist will betray Israel. Did Nostradamus see and predict the same thing? Trump has said he will be neutral regarding Israel, but is he really? Nostradamus predicted Trump's wall as well. The Republic of the Great City will not want to consent to the great severity. King summoned by trumpet to go out, the ladder at the wall, the city will repent. Nostradamus again, quote, the great Senate will ordain the triumph for one who afterward will be vanished, driven out. At the sound of the trumpets of his adherents, there will be put up for sale their possessions, enemies expelled. Matt Haig, a best-selling British writer, wrote a Facebook post about Trump that concludes, quote, it might be the end of the world, but we can't switch to another channel. To his surprise, the word count was 666. Trump goes to church for Easter and Christmas. He collects Bibles, but doesn't seem to read them, and certainly doesn't live by them. His daughter Ivanka converted to Judaism. Though his German ancestors, through his German ancestors named Christ and Trump, Donald inherited millions of dollars and a vast real estate empire. Will he now attempt to trump, upstage Christ, and rule by deceiving the very elect? Trump certainly seems to see himself as everyone's master and ruler. For instance, if anyone protests at one of his rallies, he has them silenced and thrown out, ignoring their constitutional right to freedom of speech. Trump mocked Ted Cruz, calling him a pussy for not being as anxious as Trump to resort to torture, waterboarding. What kind of man mocks and insults other people for not endorsing torture? Donald called the situation Middle East akin to medieval times and said, quote, I'd bring back waterboarding and I'd bring back a hell of a lot worse than waterboarding. The Antichrist is supposed to be a sort of, quote, reverse twin of Jesus Christ, as if Lucifer became flesh and tried to become savior of the world. And Trump is certainly proclaiming himself to be the only possible savior. Trump claims to be a Christian, but said he'd never asked God for forgiveness, and he denigrated Holy Communion by speaking dismissively of, quote, little bread and little wine, suggesting that he is much bigger and more important. And yet, Trump is being praised and endorsed by evangelical Christians like Sarah Palin, Jerry Falwell Jr., and Franklin Graham, along with Mr. Putin, etc. According to the Bible, the Antichrist will be a great deceiver, misleading even the very elect. Donald Trump is as far from Jesus Christ as a man can be, and yet many Christian leaders are embracing him. What is Trump's plan? He says, if I'm elected president, which he has, we will win and we will win and we will win. He seems to care only about winning, not about what is right or compassionate or justice. Trump's main claim to fame are insulting people as he fires them, building casinos, gold-plating toilets, bragging about, quote, all beautiful pieces of ass that he's bedded, and always doing the opposite of what Jesus Christ would do. Attributes of the Antichrist. Charismatic. He will be a major celebrity. Trump's reality TV show, The Apprentice. Persuasive. He will be a smooth talker, the consummate salesman. Trump's best-selling book, The Art of the Deal. Prosperous. He will be a rich, powerful man. Trump's book, Trump, How to Get Rich. Deceitful. Con artist. He will deceive many people through fear-mongering. Trump book, Crippled America. Negotiator. He will be a master negotiator and deal maker, persuading the nations of the world to trust him. The Art of the Deal. Strong man. He will be a real tough guy. Trump's book, Time to Get Tough. Big idea man. He will propose things never heard before and seem to make them happen at first. Trump's book, Think Big and Kick Ass. Champion. He will claim to be able to do things that are impossible for other human beings. Trump's book, Think Like a Champion. Comeback artist. Seemingly left for dead, he will make an amazing comeback. Trump's book, The Art of the Comeback. Problem solver. He will convince people that he alone has the answer to previously unsolvable problems. Trump's wall to be paid for by Mexico. Confidence man. Although interested only in himself, he will convince other people to trust him. Trump's book, Why We Want You to Be Rich. Winner. He will claim to be a winner and delude the masses. Trump's book, The Way to the Top. Midas touch. He will claim that everything he touches turns to gold. Trump's book, Midas Touch. Conqueror. He will claim that no one can defeat him. Trump promises to protect Israel and defeat ISIS. Commander. He will be a military leader. Trump claims to be the most militaristic person on the planet. Intimidator. He will be a king of fierce countenance. Trump is a bully and intimidator. Arrogant. He shall exalt himself and magnify himself. Is anyone as arrogant as the Donald? Egomaniac. Quote, he shall magnify himself above all. End of quote. Donald Trump brags more than anyone I have ever known. Furthermore, Donald Trump is clearly a media creation of the Fox network. He is profiteering from a lot of free airtime on the Fox News network. The letters in Fox add up to 666. F equals 6 alphabet letter equals 6. O equals 15th letter equals 1 plus 5 equals 6. X equals 24th letter equals 2.4 equals 6. Fox equals 666. Comparison of Jesus Christ to Donald Trump. Jesus said to turn the other cheek. Trump responds angrily to every perceived slight and calls himself, quote, the most militaristic person on the planet, end of quote. Jesus practiced humility. Trump is insufferably arrogant. Jesus stressed the need for love and compassion. Trump stresses the need for alpha male aggressiveness, power, and domination. Jesus taught the Lord's Prayer, in which forgiveness is both requested and given. Trump never asks God for forgiveness, and he never forgives anyone else. Jesus and the apostles said that Christians should have compassion for prisoners and visit them. Trump says he doesn't like prisoners, even POWs, like John McCain. Jesus said, the meek are blessed. Trump claims it is a grievous sin to be meek. Jesus blessed the poor. Trump praises the rich and successful, i.e., like himself. Jesus said it is easier for a camel to pass through a needle's eye than for a rich man to enter heaven. Trump evidently thinks that anything bearing his name is heaven. Well, I hope that this video and the links and more extensive explanations in the video description and in the article accompanying this video go more of a way to explaining how it is that Antichrist 666, Donald John Trump, is hidden in plain sight and has been functioning as the president of the United States, and is now almost in 3.5 years into, the first 3.5 years of the 7 years of the vaunted prophesized term of the Antichrist, because it's the second 3.5 years where things get really dicey. That's what's called the tribulation. So anyone who wakes up to this and begins to realize that they have, that John of Patmos remote viewed this, that Nostradamus remote viewed this and said, this is going to be a catastrophe. And that Fox News is 666 itself, and that you're just it's the end of America, basically, if you vote 666, Donald John Trump back in, great catastrophic to the United States, may not continue to exist, uh, and and uh, you know, I would urge you, those who wish to alert others who have come to this realization, who have an aha moment like I did, can either share this video, share these links. You can contact us at exopolitics@exopolitics.com, our email. You can contact us on Skype at peaceinspace. You can support our candidacy for US President, Alfred Lambremont Webre, through all the links here. You can share this video. I mean, just begin to share it and bring it into the conversation. You know, people aren't talking about this in the mainstream, that here you are in the 2020 election about to bring in something that 2,000 years ago was remote viewed by John of Patmos in the book of Revelation, in the New Testament, in a Christian nation, and said, you don't want to bring this guy in that'll end your Christian nation. So I'm Alfred Lambremont Webre, a futurist, born May 24th, 1942 at the Pensacola, Florida, U.S. Naval Air Station, a little more than 5 months after Pearl Harbor. I'm asking you to really take a good look, to share this video, and to prevent Donald John Trump from continuing in the White House, something that was warned against by the prophet John of Patmos, by Nostradamus, and by other prophets, and by the Lord. Thank you very much.